probably off speed right here. Yachty alerting the third baseman.
From his knees. Oh, he got him! What a throw! Yadier Molina from his knee.
Rolling with it, I'm not mad. Rolling with it, it's all.
I had a chemistry teacher that kind of treated me the same way, with the same mentality. I had learned enough during this baseball season that I didn't really stand for it and stood up for myself multiple times. It became a constant game of cat and mouse, where it was an item of ego, not of me passing the class. My peers often laughed at the situation because they knew it was happening. And I didn't really let it get to me. It was kind of 2 semesters of brutal nonsense, to be honest. This guy counseled us to quit our jobs, take on student loan debt so we could relax and study chemistry and hang out at the bar and throw darts. Well, that wasn't really my lifestyle. I was working hard to make it through school with 0 debt. So glad I did. Apparently there had been other students complaining about the same teacher that I didn't really realize. And one day I got randomly called into the dean's office. I thought I was in trouble because maybe I had said something, or maybe it was a little bit of back talk. But I sat down at the dean's desk and he asked me a bunch of questions about this teacher. And I gave what I felt was some honest, respectful answers. And he ushered me out and thanked me. And he had told me that there was multiple other students complaining about the same issues and that he'd look into it. So later on it was confirmed that, again, yay! It was a similar situation. I maybe was being pushed down when I was working so hard to build myself up. There was a lot of wonderful things that came from these hard items. I quickly, because of this chemistry teacher, changed my degree. I'm so grateful for the nonsense, because maybe I would have continued in a degree which I don't really think I would have been happy with. When I was looking at what my next career path should be, I started going through my podcasts and my YouTube play history and was realizing that dang near everything I'd looked at was in some form a form of entrepreneurship. And naturally, that's what I was seeking. I felt prompted and decided to study entrepreneurship at BYU because it was a top perennial program, and at the time it was one of the only ones in the state. The problem is, as I wanted to go to BYU, and BYU had already not accepted me 2 times. So if I applied a 3rd time and they said no, that would be time number 3. I applied and I got accepted. Yay! At the time, I felt so prompted that I was going to get in that I didn't apply for any other schools. My mom made me apply to one more school just because I don't think she really had the faith. Judging upon the track record, she probably had a valid reason. Later on, I got the email. I was accepted. And I double-checked it. I triple-checked it. Then I called my mother. She was in disbelief. She asked if it was the little summer program or a few little classes here and there, and she asked me to double check it and triple check it. I told her no, I'm actually in. She was kind of befuddled. No. But there I was. Quickly I found myself married and at BYU. While I was at BYU, I had to take a year of prerequisites to get into this program. I felt confident in all the other requirements, except for when I was reviewing my GPA in these prerequisite classes. It came down to the wire, and I felt really anxious about it. It came down to the last 2 tests in 2 different classes that were back to back, and I basically passed the prerequisites with 1/100th of a GPA point. I applied, I got in, and that's where I started to feel the fireworks of college. I wish it would have been sooner, but I guess that's how the system works. I got into my first class. It was Entrepreneurship 101. I sat down and was excited and realized that this teacher was a dropout, but extremely successful dropout. He welcomed everybody to class, and then he pulled out of his own pocket $100 bills, sectioned people off into groups, gave them the $100 bill, and said, hey, come back next class period with more money. Lesson number 1, class is dismissed. I was impressed because that was probably the first most applicable class I've had up until that point. Our group went and wasted the money and we didn't come back with any more, but some of these groups did some innovative stuff and made some good returns in a short period of time. While I was there, I realized that I was very different and my mind was different. I worked differently. I wasn't really good at sitting down and shutting up and just doing what I was told. It actually was quite a struggle my whole life. And all of a sudden, I was surrounded by other people just like me. There was a whole community where I felt understood. I felt like I gained a lot of knowledge that I had been seeking intently to try to get from a podcast or a YouTube channel, but specifically it just wasn't the right format or never came. Everybody always wanted to teach something else, but it was the 0 to 1 basics of fundamentals that I was looking for. A lot of these folks always talked about 100 to 1,000 or 1,000 to 10,000, but very few people actually talked about 0 to 1, and that's what I was searching for. A lot of these classes and assignments were extremely applicable, but I remembered getting called up in a career placement class, and I hadn't done the assignment because the assignment involved getting a JOB, something that I did not plan on doing. I told the teacher and the whole auditorium